Hello everybody. Well, the word incompetence typically means a pretty negative thing. If we describe a man or a woman as being incompetent, we're criticizing them for not having the skills needed to do their job properly. But I think there's actually more to the concept of incompetence than just that. And I'm going to go ahead and try to make a case now for there being two types of incompetence. I'm going to call these grave and pale. Now let's go ahead and let me describe them and describe their differences and make a case for this. I'm going to try my best. The first is grave incompetence. Now I've chosen that word grave as I think that it illustrates best where this type of incompetence can lead. If it's basically in its most extreme form, it can lead to the grave. It can lead to death, not only of you but of others. Now, grave incompetence is precisely that type of incompetence we typically think of, where someone is over their head in terms of responsibilities and not having the skills or the abilities to carry those out. At the lowest level, we think of a clerk who can't do their job properly and frustrates their customers, coworkers, or their boss. At the most extreme level, we imagine somebody who has gotten themselves into a situation, imagine a pilot, for example, who is incapable of handling the plane properly and may wind up dead, killing themselves or others. That is indeed a very dangerous type of incompetence, and it deserves the condemnation that we usually reserve for it. I'm going to call that grave incompetence. The other type of incompetence is something that I'm going to refer to as pale incompetence. And the reason I call it pale incompetence is that it reflects the kind of feeling that we have when we encounter it. It can leave us with a pale, pallid expression and feeling. This type of incompetence is the incompetence of perception, of knowing where our boundaries are and not willing to overstep them for fear of looking the fool. And that type of incompetence is abundant. It is everywhere around us. It is by far the greatest quantity of experiences in life, of potential experiences in life, are within the realm of pale incompetence. And this is the type of thing where we, for example, I see it all the time. As a vlogger, people send me email and they say, well, I'd love to make a video for YouTube, but I just don't know how to do it. And I'm afraid to do it. I'm nervous and I'm afraid to try. That's pale incompetence. And I'm not criticizing you. Remember, I'm not using that old term incompetence in the same way. This is the type where you perceive that you may not be experienced in it and are unwilling to venture past in order for fear of touching it. Now, it only becomes true incompetence if you venture into it and then you blunder around and make mistakes. And if you've seen my videos, you know I'm all for that. I'm all for getting bruised, bloodied, and battle scars for the betterment of every aspect of our lives. So that's pale incompetence. There's another aspect. There's something else that's different. There goes the bullet train. There's something interesting about this that's also different. Grave and pale incompetence are perceived differently by us. And what I mean by that is that grave incompetence is often invisible. The person who's suffering grave incompetence may not even know that it's happening. Think of the clerk who's incapable of doing their job properly. They may be frustrated by their blunderings, but they may not sometimes understand that they simply don't have the proper skill set to do the job. Or the pilot, pilot's not a good example in that case. Think of a mountain climber who winds up dead at the side of a mountain for the lack of bringing the proper equipment, freezing to death on a mountain range. On Fujisan over here, just 2 years ago, 2 men died as a result of not being properly prepared for a winter climb on Mount Fuji. That's grave incompetence looming forth because of ignorance. And I'm not being critical. It's simply a fact that we all have. We don't know that we're limited in that capacity. Pale incompetence, so if grave incompetence is largely invisible to us, pale incompetence is the exact opposite. Pale incompetence is right in our face. What defines it as pale incompetence is the very fact that it is so visible to us. And in this way, for example, the vloggers that don't want to get into vlogging because they don't do it because they can see the incompetence right before their eyes and they don't want to step over it. So we have a grave incompetence that is invisible and pale incompetence that is quite visible. And now that visibleness, that ability to see it, makes an interesting characteristic of life. As I said before, the great majority of potential experience in life is pale incompetence. It is, we only know, each of us as individuals only knows such a small fraction of knowledge to be competent in the world. There's so many things that we don't know how to do that what happens is that this pale incompetence acts as a guide. It's a buffer. It's an invisible, almost like a magnetic field that keeps us from wandering outside of our realm, our comfort zone. To give you an example, there's lots of examples I could use, but given here in Japan, give you an example. If you ever watch sumo wrestlers, watch a sumo match and watch those guys, the way that they behave on and off the match. They are within a very narrow bound. They have sumo wrestlers operate in a very specific way for they know to step out of that is to break the role of the sumo wrestler. And this example can come in many forms. There goes another bullet train. So pale incompetence gives us the ability to function and operate as effective members of society, keeping us within the bounds of where our skill set lies. On the other hand, it also tends to restrict us. It keeps us from moving out and venturing into places where we're not comfortable with. That comes to other elements of the mind regarding comfort and the ability to be at ease with one's own folly. Nevertheless, the term incompetence itself deserves more credibility in terms of, or it doesn't deserve more credibility, it deserves more, I think in my mind, it deserves more distinction in order to define the types of incompetence that are the true dangers to us and the types of incompetence that guide and serve us to stay within our chosen course on life, and that can also act as barriers to our growth and greater fulfillment. There you go. Grave and pale incompetence in the course of life. Oh, look at the sunbeams. I love the sunbeams. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Take care, everybody. Make it a great one. Hey, it's a short one. It's a short day. It's a short life. Make it a great one. Take care. Bye-bye. Did I find the button?